Check, 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 check. 1, 1, 2. Giants Nation, what it do? Your boy Awthentik back in the building one time. I know y'all in the building with me, man. Yo, we had a little bit of technical complications here with YouTube and with StreamYard one time. And, after a big W like that with the New York Giants, we had to find a way to go live. I'm going to keep it 100. We just had to find a way. So shout out to OBS for holding us down today. Production-wise, things are going to be a little bit different today. I'm just still getting a little bit used to this interface. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to highlight comments or be able to see things in the chat as far as super chats and things like that. I'm kind of just doing some testing as I'm going along here. But, man, what a big win from our Giants, man. Daniel Jones balled out in this game, man. 402 yards, 1 touchdown, 28 of 42. You see I got the See You Win instrumental playing in the background because that's one of my records that I did before the season. And I'm like, yo, I just want to see the Giants win, man. And we got the big W. I'm very excited about this one. Saquon Barkley back in full effect, man. 126 total yards, 1 touchdown. Kenny Galladay, man. Oh, my God. I mean, that's why we paid him the money. Came here, gave us 6 catches for 116 yards. If we can get continuous play out of Kenny Galladay like that, wow, man, that'll be an awesome signing by Dave Gettleman. Can't forget about the implementation of Kadarius Toney in the offense this week. 6 catches for 78 yards on the day. Even Evan Ingram got a couple of catches there after his one blunder he had early in the first quarter where he had that big drop. I know Giants fans was looking at him like, oh, here we go again. And Kyle Rudolph added to the tight end production on the team as well. He had 2 catches for 24 yards. And big shout out to John Ross, man. Oh, my God. I mean, the comeback route that he ran early in the game, the big play. I mean, this is exactly what we wanted to see out of this Giants offense, man. And just a quick quote from Daniel Jones. He said, we've shown glimpses of what we can be as an offense throughout these first 4 games. He said, we made a few more plays and made the plays when it counted. We needed a win, and there was a high sense of urgency. I know at 0-3, man, they were a wounded animal, as I like to say. And we were just scratching for a W, man. Thank God we got the W. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see y'all pulling up. OBS does give me at least a little bit of vibes to at least see what y'all are saying over here. I'm not too sure if we can highlight these. I don't think we can. But I see Simon Coleman in the building one time. Jay Jean, I ain't seen you in the building in a minute. What's up, fam? Giants Nation in the building. Ed Squires in the building. Sunday is in the building one time. Jeff Maldo in the building. My man Joel is in the building. I know that W made you feel real good, Joel. I know Joel got high hopes for these Giants this year, man. Joseph Balby in the building. Steve T in the building with the Boo Cowboys. We ready for them next week. BB Jones is in the building. So shout out to everybody in the chat. If this is your first time tuning in to the Overreaction with Awthentik, what we like to do here is take tweets and take, different takes that people have in the Giants community and see if these are actually overreactions where we will take the over, or if these are under, we're going to take the under and these are actually a little bit overblown. So today we're not going to have a guest on the show, man. I just kind of wanted to chop it up with the chat. Unfortunately, StreamYard kind of on struggle mode, which it's unfortunate that I can't bring up y'all chats on the screen because I really wanted to bring attention to y'all this show. Definitely appreciate all the super chats that came in last show. It was so many rolling in that we didn't even get to highlight them all on the screen. So I really wanted to take the time today and, do this overreaction with y'all, the fans, the people that have been tuning in, to this show, my day ones, man. Shout out to the homie, The Beard, who he's on the back end of things on the production, helping us out with getting this to actually go to YouTube. And if you're wondering why there's not a lot of content today from content creators live on YouTube, there's a big issue with StreamYard. So we going to, jump over these hurdles and make things work, especially with a big W like we just got, man. I'm so excited, man. Shout out to Diggy, who had me on his stream last night after the game. Just great positive vibes over there, man. I had a blast chopping it up with him, the Hub, and the homie Ash Money one time. But we just overdue for these kind of wins, man. Daniel Jones, I'm one of the people that's out here saying that like Daniel Jones is not in an evaluation period right now. We know we got our quarterback. Shout out Mr. Nobody in the building one time. Salute to you. What's up, fam? And I see a couple of newcomers pulling up to the chat as well too. I'm gonna let some people just kind of populate here, and you know, the intro was a little bit shorter. Things are a little bit quicker here today because we are on OBS. Definitely want to shout them out again. But yeah, man, you know, just kind of recapping and putting a bubble on this win. You know, just an amazing performance by the offense, man. Like, it's so good to see Saquon Barkley getting implemented into this offense in a real way. I've been talking about how we need to use Saquon Barkley, like how the Saints use Alvin Kamara. And the Saints utilized Alvin Kamara in this game very well. He rushed for over 100 yards. It's unfortunate for them that they got a loss in that kind of a game where they offensively were doing things proper. You know, I think the interception from James Bradbury was a major twist in this game and a turnaround for the New York Giants. You know, we needed that turnover. I thought it was going to come from Jameis Winston. In the long run, it doesn't, but a turnover is a turnover. We needed that. And I believe in the box score, each team had one turnover on the day. Two turnovers, actually, for the Giants. One that I don't count because that interception before the half is just a Hail Mary just trying to get some points. But if it was a touchdown, I would have counted that touchdown for sure. But just, you know, an incredible performance by the offense. I mean, we know there was not much lacking in that department. Defensively, I think we struggled throughout most of the day. You know, just open across the middle of the field. Did a decent job of stopping the run, you know, to our best ability. But like I said, Alvin Kamara did have over 100 yards on the day. A lot of big plays for the Saints offense in the passing game. But, you know, when it came time for this defense to make the play, and I think that's been the major disappointment of this defense all year, is even in games where they played well, like the Denver Broncos game and the Atlanta Falcons game, only allowing 17 points, it just seemed like when we really, really needed a major stop, the Giants defense couldn't come up with one. And in this game, you know, yeah, they allowed a lot of movement from the Saints offense. But when it came down to it, they gave Daniel Jones an opportunity to go down here and tie this game up, to push it to overtime. And ultimately, we win the coin toss. Salute to Jabril Peppers on that coin toss. That was awesome. It reminded me of that who's that Seahawks quarterback? Was it Matt Hasselbeck who did that one time, I want to say, in an NFC Championship game, and then they proceeded to lose the game. In this case, the Giants come out with the W, so it looked real good. And shout out to Jabril Peppers for being very confident on that. They said that they had problems with calling tails and a couple other coin toss situations, so they decided to go aheads on this one, and that one definitely worked out. But yeah, a lot of things to clean up, man. On the defensive side of the ball, you know, there's a lot of things to clean up. And offensively, you know, there was a couple things there. I know a lot of people been getting on Jason Garrett for the game plan and things like that in the past couple of weeks. I thought this was a excellent game plan. They only had a couple of blemishes on it. Early on there when Graham Gano missed that field goal, I thought that the 3rd and 1 play right before it would have been a great time to just, you know, implement run and show that we were going to win that game behind our running back. Could have just went for a run on 3rd and 1. Instead, they pass it, and then we go for the field goal on 4th down, and we missed the field goal. So that was kind of a failure there. And I know all Giants fans were scratching their head when we had the jet sweep reverse play to Evan Ingram down there close to the goal line on 2nd down. That was one that was very, very interesting. But outside of that, I thought Jason Garrett called a good game. And I love this quote that Joe Judge said. If you don't follow me on Twitter, check me out on Twitter. It's just @Awthentik, the way I spell it right here on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. But there was 2 quotes that I love from Joe Judge. One of them was just about sticking to the script and sticking to your game plan. He said, look, we're just sticking to the process. I've been talking about this for the last 3 to 4 weeks, even going back into training camp. Everyone wants to come in here right now and have a big emotional reaction, maybe an overreaction, pun to this show. But the fact of the matter is we're going to go back and watch this tape and identify things that we need to correct. It wasn't perfect today. He also talked about, you know, don't allow results to dictate how you go about utilizing your process, which I thought was really awesome. You know, like a lot of people, you know, and this goes for life. I put this on my Twitter too, you know, like people look at things and they fail once, and even in life, you know, you fail one time and then you go back to the drawing board and feel like you got to completely erase the plan that you had there in the beginning and try to implement some whole new thing. So I got to commend Joe Judge on this, you know, sticking to his guns, man. Like, he is the head coach of the New York Giants. I trust him more than anything, you know, so I got to go with his gut and his approach, you know, as being a head coach on the highest level of football, you know. So I love those quotes I'm hearing out of Joe Judge, and the way that they went back to the drawing board in a way of like, let's just correct what we know we need to correct. Let's not just completely erase what we've been working on all off season. So kudos to Joe Judge and kudos to Jason Garrett on a fantastic game plan offensively. We're looking for Patrick Graham to get things together on the defensive side of the ball. Shout out to Independent Outsider one time. I see the super chat here. He says, all of the great progression by the offense and DJ during the game could have been crushed by one Barkley fumble. We have to work on ball control. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, if you know you fumble that away and the Saints come away with that recovery, you know, that's going to be detrimental. We probably lose that game. But Saquon Barkley's not a guy that's known for fumbling. That's his second fumble in his entire career. And go back and look at that play in slow motion. Big shout out to Justin and everybody over there at Talking Giants. I was looking at their recap that they put out right after the game yesterday, and I was watching that play in slow motion. My God, Saquon Barkley, when they talk about him being touched by the hand of God, that's one of the plays where you're like, yeah, that's God. The fumble is God. Like, don't get too saucy on him with all these spins and all these juke moves and whatnot. But there's 5 or 6 defenders there when Saquon catches that ball, and he's kind of falling and kind of tumbling down the whole time before he catches the ball. And I think that might have led to him kind of getting a little bit loose on once he starts making the jukes. But the one thing I love about that play is you see the instincts from Saquon Barkley on that. You know, like, the dude's knee is probably back to 100%. You know, the spins that he made there, I don't even know how he saw the first defender, because the first defender had, you know, straight up bullseye target right on him. I mean, he could have just straight up laid him out. It looks like Saquon Barkley's got his back turned to him and can't even see it. And then all of a sudden you just see Saquon making these gifted moves, man. So it was good to see that, but it was definitely terrible to see the fumble. And he talked about that in the press conference. He said he doesn't even think the defender hit the ball. He thinks it was just a lapse. You know, he doesn't even know how that popped out. But it's a great thing that Kyle Rudolph was there to recover that. But, yeah, I mean, it's just great to see our running back get back, you know, to pretty much 100% 2018 style Saquon Barkley. I talked about this with the fellas on another podcast the other day. You know, last week against Atlanta was the first time that Saquon Barkley had 22 touches in a game that season, you know, in the 2021 season. And that was his average when you go back to his rookie year. So those are the kind of things that I want to see. You know, implementing him in the pass game is something I've talked about from day one with Saquon Barkley. I think that we do use him kind of wrong. It's one of the blunders that I have on his coaching staff where I'm kind of like, you know, you guys are trying to make Saquon Barkley into a Ezekiel Elliott kind of Derrick Henry type running back, when in reality, he's a playmaker. You know, I think we need to look at Reggie Bush as a perfect example of this. Like, you know, if you're in the NFL and you're drafted as a playmaker, let's not try to make you do things that are outside of your realm of what you do. If you need somebody to come in and pound and you know, ground and pound in the running game, then go get that guy. And that's what I've been talking about. I do think that the running back 2 situation in New York is one of the bigger issues on this offense. I've talked about that a bunch this season. You know, the signing of Booker kind of seems a bit pointless now. You know, it's starting to look like wasted money and a bad free agency pickup from Dave Gettleman. I'm one of the guys that say maybe bring in Adrian Peterson. I know everybody in the fan base is super happy about a win, but there are still things that we need to correct, and this offense can improve and we can get better. I do think the second running back situation is definitely something to look into if you're a head coach. But who am I? I'm just a fan. Like I always tell you, I'm a fan first, content creator second. Definitely not a GM. Maybe a little bit of a hindsight GM every now and again, talking about the picks and whatnot. But you know, just a beautiful game by the New York Giants. So let's get into it. Today's episode, we're gonna do this a lot with the chat. Is gonna be what we're gonna do. So if you think that this is an overreaction when you do see the statements that I post up on the screen, if you think it is a overreaction and the fan base need to pump the brakes and chill just a little bit, then I need you to put a O in the chat, and you can explain why you think it is an overreaction as well. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you think it's an overreaction, take the overreaction, put the O. And if you agree and you think it isn't an overreaction, you could put a U. This one's always confusing for me. This is the 4th week we're doing this show. So if you don't agree with the overreaction, definitely put a U in the chat. If you agree it's an overreaction, put an O in the chat. But I definitely want to see what the fans think about some of these things. And y'all know, if you follow me on Twitter, I was hot after the game. A lot of crazy tweets. It was fun to troll a lot of the Giants community. A lot of people who've been bashing these players and bashing a lot of you know, the moves that the Giants have been making, not only in the offseason but during these games, in the games, game plans that we've, you know, not implemented, and things we're doing on defense as well. So I kind of want to get this started with the one that was the most hot topic, I feel like, for me on Twitter, because it was you know, this one rubbed me the wrong way. I can't front. I feel like when you're seeing the bashing of Saquon Barkley come from mostly Giants fans, I think it's pretty interesting. You know, so I wanted to start with this Saquon Barkley one right off the bat that I've been seeing a lot around Twitter, and y'all saw a lot of my reactions on Twitter. And a lot of people are saying this, and I'm pulling this from somebody's tweet. Saquon Barkley is a glorified mascot for the New York Giants. Now, if you think this is an overreaction, I'm going to need you to put an O in the chat. take the O on this one. For me, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. I think that this is a complete overreaction. People are not giving Saquon Barkley enough time to come back and get implemented into this offense. We can't forget that, like, he has not really played under Jason Garrett. There was only 2 games in the 2020 season before Saquon Barkley eventually got hurt and had to be sidelined with an injury. So when you see him coming back, not only is he coming back off of a knee injury, he's coming back into an offense that he's not 100%, comfortable with. So for me, I knew it was going to have to be at least a couple of weeks before we saw Saquon Barkley, start to get adjusted and get his feet wet. And in this game, even last game, I talked about this. Saquon Barkley was not a major factor in the running game. I don't got the exact numbers in front of me, but I know it was something like around 40, 50 rushing yards, and he had just over 60 receiving. And for me, it was, I was looking at it like this. Like, if that one holding penalty wasn't called, or, the Giants don't make another bonehead mistake, which I've talked about a lot in the red zone, Saquon Barkley's looking at almost 100 yards of receiving on the day. To me, they used him the proper way with the screens. You got to see a bit, just a little taste of what Saquon Barkley can do with the screen. The screenplay is probably the best play for Saquon Barkley, and it's all about the coaching staff utilizing that in the right, proper opportunity to get Saquon Barkley into open space. Because I know people were kind of clowning Jason Garrett on this too, like he's running back-to-back screens. Yeah, but it's getting yards, So at the end of the day, what team thinks that, the Giants are going to run back-to-back screens? So maybe that is a good time to catch them off guard, get Saquon Barkley in open space. I'm seeing here in the chat, a lot of y'all, Giants Nation, I see nothing but O's saying this is an overreaction. And the homie 27 on Twitter, Will, who's a good homie of mine, he's the first person I saw say this, and me and him had a good conversation about it, of why he thought that, and what things bothered him, which were, the Giants using, like, Saquon Barkley on a lot of the banners and pictures and, using him on social media. And I had to explain to him, like, you can't forget that football is a child's game, and it's promoted to children first. I'm very invested into sports now, especially football, as an adult, but my love of football comes from a child playing the game. And some of my favorite playmakers from back in the day, and being a Giants fan, like people like Rodney Hampton and Phil Simms and Otis Andersons, and I mean, it goes on and on, Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks. These were players that, when Victor Cruz was in his prime, the salsa was a beautiful thing on Sundays, and I know Giants fans love that. So, at the same time, we got to understand, like, this is a child's game, but I do give a lot of respect to the homie Will, because he's the first one I saw say that. But a lot of people just jumped on the bandwagon and started retweeting and started saying a lot of stuff about that for the wrong reasons. I think his reasoning was, the Giants are really ruining Saquon Barkley's career, which a lot of us can agree with that. But to call our running back, our superstar running back, a mascot is, to me, of the highest disrespect that you could actually give a football player who is playing in the NFL, which is the highest level of football. It is not easy to come back from a knee injury. I've only seen maybe 4 and 5 clips of Saquon Barkley's workouts, and man, they look excruciating, man. And you talking to a dude who's 6'1", 160 pounds. I hate working out off the strength. I cannot stand hitting the gym. The only way I could get some cardio is if I trick my mind and go play some basketball or go play in a 2-hand touch league or something like that. So when you have an injury like that, to get back into your form, there's no one on the planet Earth that plays football like Saquon Barkley. So when they say this kid was touched by the hand of God, I mean, they really are correct on that, because you can see it on plays like that fumble. I mean, I know it's a bad play to bring up as far as a fumble. We do dodge the bullet, and Kyle Rudolph eventually recovers that fumble. But, man, just looking at the moves, go back and look at Saquon Barkley against the Detroit Lions his rookie season. I mean, a combination of skill and juking and elusiveness, but also power. I mean, just putting guys in the dirt straight up with the stiff arms. So, for me, this one is completely an overreaction. I didn't see one in the chat here. Everybody seems to think that this is an overreaction. I see my homie William Ruff, man, who's in the chat, who always tags me and stuff on Twitter. Salute to William Ruff. He's saying one running back scheme is outdated. Look at the Patriots before Michelle left. Look at Cleveland. Look at Dallas. Dallas is a perfect example. A lot of people look at Ezekiel Elliott as a overpaid running back. But at the end of the day, it's like they're overpaying one of them and underpaying another. And Tony Pollard is a great complementary running back, sometimes can be that lead running back. And you, as an offensive coordinator, can just go with the hot hand. We know Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland is probably one of the few teams in the NFL right now that the identity is built around the running back. And to me, that's another reason why you're seeing guys like OBJ and Jarvis Landry's productivity kind of drop down a little bit as far as what they were doing when they were at their respective teams before with the New York Giants and with the Miami Dolphins. Both of them are kind of taking a back seat to the running game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt over there. That's a perfect example of that, Will. And it's very rare that you see a team just do it with one running back, and you can die on that. You see that with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, Derrick Henry can be that guy. You can see him go back-to-back playoff games with over 150 yards, almost pushing 200 yards a game. And then, you get to a championship game or you get to a big game where now your running back might be a little bit fatigued and teams will figure it out against you. I know in those 2 playoff games, one of them was against the Baltimore Ravens when they beat Lamar in his first season. Ryan Tannehill's passing yards were like under 60 yards in both of those playoff games, and they managed to win, which is kind of ridiculous. But when you got a running game clicking, you see what can happen. For me, I'm still one of the old school people with the old school mindset that, if you can get the running game going, everything else on your offense will open up. And for the Giants, it seems to be in this past game, this past victory here against the Saints, it was a little bit of both. It was a bit of getting the running game going. Saquon did average over 4 yards per carry in his game, and also utilizing a more of a West Coast style, using a short passing game with guys like Kadarius Toney, catching short routes and getting a lot of yak. I know a lot of people have been blaming Jason Garrett for the reason why wide receivers on the New York Giants have not been getting yak, but that's a wide receiver thing. Catch the ball, start making some moves, and go. In the NFL, and Sterling Shepard talked about this last season, a half a yard of separation is a lot of separation in the NFL. So, I'm looking for more of that kind of productivity out of our players. I feel like a lot of the failures that we saw in the first couple weeks, they boil down to red zone failures. I've been hammering this point. A lot of people are saying, the Giants are awful in the red zone, and that blame goes to Jason Garrett. But let's just break it down. I got the Atlanta Falcons stuff fresh on my mind from that game. You got 3 red zone possessions in that game. We know the last one was the one with Saquon Barkley over the top for the touchdown. We had the Kenny Galladay pass interference call that put us on the 1 yard line. And those are things that don't show up on the stat book for a guy like Kenny Galladay. Getting a pass interference call on a one-on-one fade route. He's a 50-50 ball catcher. We know that. But sometimes he's not going to catch the ball, but he will get the pass interference. In return, we saw the exact same thing happen with Kyle Pitts at the end of that game, and it kind of cost us the game. But let's look at the other 2 red zone opportunities that the Giants had in that game. You had the one on second down where Daniel Jones allows the fumble to slip through his hands, and now you lose 10 yards. You set up for 3rd and 22 when you really should have been on, the 10-yard line trying to make a play to get into the end zone. That was one failure. You can't put that one on the coaches. That's execution from the players. And also there was a sack from Billy Price and Ben Bredesen on that one, the other red zone attempt. Where they look like they had their shoelaces tied together and they just fall to the ground, and that just can't happen, And then we got one more late opportunity. It wasn't a red zone opportunity. It was when we were driving after Daniel Jones got the 2-point conversion, which in my mind, I'm like, we get this ball back. Daniel Jones is going down here, and he is going to put this ball in the end zone. We're going to win this game. And you get a failure from Nate Solder on the right tackle position, and now you got a free rush to the quarterback. We lose another 10 yards. It's hard to dig yourself out of these, 2nd and long and 3rd and long. We've talked about that all from last season and whatnot. And now you're seeing a cleaned up version of that against the Saints. Granted, we were still 1 of 3 in the red zone. That's the 4th straight game we've been 1 of 3 in the red zone. But the Giants found a way to score from outside of the red zone and from the green zone. Get around the 30, get around the 40-yard line, and you start putting the ball in the end zone with big plays. Saquon Barkley with the big play, like about a 20, 25-yard pass from Daniel Jones, and Saquon Barkley does the rest. To me, it was just a great game from the offense. And the defense really did their thing. So, as far as this glorified mascot thing, y'all need to pump the brakes. I had a lot of vulgar tweets coming out on Twitter, about this and about how a lot of y'all can pretty much, give Saquon Barkley some fellatio after this one because y'all owe that man a major, major apology, man. So, yeah, I think everybody's in agreement on this one that, this is definitely an overreaction from a Giants fan base that this kind of stuff shouldn't be coming from our fans. I'll keep it 100. That's just what it is, and that's just how the cookie crumbles on that one. Now, I want to get to another one, man, that we talked about last week. Shout out to the Entertainer one time. Great play-by-play during the game. the spirits and the vibes was just on 1,000 in that stream, man. I had a great time with them, just chilling during their stream and watching the game simultaneously on mute. It was real cool. And I had Entertainer come on to Giant Overreaction just last week, and this was one of the questions that we had on there, and it felt a bit, I think we took the push on this one, and we were a little bit neutral on this one. But I wanted to bring it back up now because it's kind of crazy what 1 week can do to a football team's fan base and the confidence of a football team. And this one was going around Twitter a lot a couple of weeks ago, and you're not seeing this one. You've seen a lot of crickets on this one this week, but the Giants should fire everyone and clean house. Now, I think one thing a lot of people aren't talking about when rebuilding a team and building the New York Giants, it doesn't have to be done through the draft. If you look at how the Giants have built this team, right? A lot of it hasn't came from the draft. I mean, yesterday, Dave Gettleman did his thing as far as his draft picks showing out on the field. The draft picks did their thing. Andrew Thomas, all the first rounders balled out. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney. It was looking real good. But think about last season and when the defense was getting a lot of praise. A lot of that came from free agent pickups that Dave Gettleman brought in. Logan Ryan, James Bradbury, Blake Martinez. Jabal Sheard was even one of them. I thought that, bringing him in last year was a good move as well, on that edge. He was doing some things. A lot of people contributed last year, that were free agents and not draft picks directly by Dave Gettleman. So for me, I think when you think about cleaning house, it's kind of silly because the Giants are already in the middle of a rebuild. This is you don't want to just destroy and rebuild every time something goes wrong. And this goes back to that that Joe Judge quote, about sticking to the script. Don't just once it fails for a little bit, go back to your drawing board and just erase everything on the dry erase board and say we got to start over. I think a team that people got to look at here too when it comes to rebuilding, who right now might be the #1 Super Bowl favorites right now, especially coming out of the NFC. I know that game yesterday, they took an L to the Arizona Cardinals, and they're another Super Bowl contender. But take a look at the Rams. Look at how the Rams have rebuilt that team. They're literally trading away draft picks left and right to bring in proven, bona fide players. Now, the Giants have spent a lot of money bringing in people right now, free agents. You looking at Kenny Galladay getting paid $17 million a year pretty much. That contract is pretty much like the Odell Beckham contract. You're looking at Adoree Jackson right now, $30 million contract. These guys getting paid big money. The Giants pretty much went out and spent all they cap. And I think it's gonna catch up to us later on in the long run. But we got a lot of stock in draft picks right now. Going into the 2022 season, we can do a lot of different things, and all pending how this season goes. I know Giants fans want to overreact when you lose 3 games, and it starts to feel. I even talked to some people on Twitter that were like, "Man, I was losing faith. It's not as fun coming into YouTube streams and things like that." And I'm just losing my faith in this team. But it's just 3 games, and we got a 17-game season here. So we can't just jump the gun. And I think the Rams are a great example, a great model of that. The Rams were a very around 500 team. And look at what Sean McVay is doing over there. There's a couple of statistics with him that just blow my mind. 40-0 when leading at the half. I don't know if that streak is still alive because I didn't get a chance to watch the Cardinals and Rams game closely. I don't know if they were leading at the half or not. And just he was undefeated against the Cardinals before entering this game. And the Rams they're about to make a push, man. And people thought that the quarterback situation over there was going to hold them back, and now they not only did they have enough draft capital to trade and make some moves, for this team, they were able to trade the quarterback while they were still a winning team. So the whole winning while rebuilding, I know that was scaring a lot of Giants fans as we were taking a lot of L's. We only won 5 games in 2018. I talk about that being one of the more fun seasons of the recent 4. It was still a fun season for me. I mean, Odell Beckham, Saquon Barkley, it was still very, very fun for me, but we only won 5 games, and when people are thinking about rebuilding and winning at the same time, 5 wins is not going to cut it. 6 wins last year, that's not going to cut it either. But I think that, people got to study that Rams team. That Rams team, I'm not saying that we go into this draft and, you just completely eliminate, all options of drafting people in the first rounds and you just trade away all your picks for bona fide players. But let's not forget that, we do got a lot of leverage with those draft picks. We could do a combination of both, or we could just go out there and trade draft picks for proven players or players that we think can get into this scheme and be effective and make an impact early. So for me, the Giants should fire everyone and clean house. That might be just as equal of an overreaction as Saquon Barkley being a mascot. So I see a couple of O's that this is an overreaction in the chat as well. So you know, I can't agree with this, you know, this take here as far as clean house. I definitely think that this one is an overreaction as well. And yeah, seems like the chat seems to agree with that for the most part. And man, shout out to a couple of the mods in the building. I see y'all in the building. I see Zach. I see Sunday. I see Word in the building one time. Appreciate y'all holding it down. You know, like I talked about earlier, this stream is going to be a little bit basic and a little bit dumbed down just because StreamYard is not working right now. So we did want to find a way to go live for this giant overreaction because, man, a big win like this, man, I know we all slept like babies last night. You know, I stayed up till about 4 in the morning looking at Giants content, trying to see what everybody was saying, you know, and, you know, what takes people were coming up with. And it's just amazing when your team wins, man. It makes the week that much better. And when I was like, you know, doing stuff day to day more, like I'm always in the house these days. You know, I'm a producer as my day job with my studio in the crib. So I'm always in the crib. I'm barely outside for real. I was talking to my girl about this earlier. I wish y'all could see my bottom down on this live right now because top up is looking a little professional. I had to bring out the flannel one time from last season, but like bottom down in straight pajamas. I got to keep it 100 with y'all. But, you know, for the people that are, you know, going to work daily, working the 9 to 5 or going to school, you know, doing the book grind and whatnot and trying to make their way through that. When your team loses, it's so frustrating for a whole week. You don't even want to turn on the TV. You don't even want to hear nothing about Giants football. So to get a W like this, man, it was amazing, you know, and it just feels really good, man. And what a great game. Just what a great game. What a great finish by the New York Giants in that fourth quarter by that offense, man. It was just like so fun to watch. It was a roller coaster of emotions. I literally pushed my chair across the room and just kept it across the room. I was like, we're not going to need that for the rest of this game. Just a fantastic way to get the W. Shout out to the homie Stephen Lilly one time with the super chat one time. $5 super chat. I appreciate you, brother, for pulling up most importantly, and I appreciate you for the super chat. He says, hey, bro, honestly, all I want is the players, the coaches, and most importantly, Judge to get the basics right and build from there. That's a great point right there, man. You know, can't forget Joe Judge is new to this too. This is his first tenure as a coach. You know, Matt Rule's a good example of stepping it up in year 2. He was so quiet in year 1, and the Panthers were just like such a basic team that I almost forgot about his rookie campaign as a coach. Whereas Joe Judge, you know, won the 6 games late in the season. People were very high on Joe Judge. And I think the expectations, you set the expectations for yourself and for other people to, you know, judge those expectations. And getting the 6 wins late in the season, you know, Joe Judge set the expectations high for himself, just like Saquon Barkley did after a rookie campaign in 2018. You know, like people are looking at it like, Saquon, get better. I had a homie, shout out to my homie David on Twitter, who was like, yeah, I think we've seen the best year from Saquon Barkley. Maybe that's the case, but that does not mean that he's not going to be very productive on the field, you know, in these next years to come. We might not see another season where Saquon Barkley catches over 91 passes out of the backfield and also runs for 1,000 yards, a 2,000 all-purpose yard kind of guy who wins Rookie of the Year. We might not see that again. Yeah, but that Saquon Barkley doesn't have to be that. And that's what I've been talking about since day one. Utilize Saquon Barkley like Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara has not had a 2,000-yard all-purpose season. Alvin Kamara has not even had a 1,000-yard rushing season. And he's getting paid $75 million over there, and nobody has any complaints at all. So for me, it's about finding the right way to use Saquon Barkley. This whole run between the tackles, run straight forward and all that stuff. Nah, bro, that is not Saquon Barkley's vibes. You know, we got to put him out in space to make plays. And I think we're learning the exact same thing with Kadarius Toney, you know. It's like you could get Kadarius Toney on a pass that's 3 or 4 yards, and he could take that thing 15 yards. Man, the way he is making people miss, I think that's the first thing we've seen as far as playmaking from the wide receiver position since we had Odell Beckham over here as a New York Giant. Kadarius Toney is doing things that not a lot of people in this league are doing. I would say a la DJ Moore. DJ Moore this year has been making some of those plays like Kadarius Toney made in this game against the Saints, man, where it's like, yo, you just making people miss left and right. And we know the Giants need a playmaker like that. I mean, so as far as this Giants should clean house, I don't think we're going to see this kind of talk for the rest of the season, to be honest. And, you know, that's pretty much an overreaction, if you ask me. Shout out PJ Torres one time in the building, my dude. What's up, man? I hope everything's going well with you, bro. Haven't got to see you a lot during this pandemic. PJ had a lot to do with us launching this show in the beginning of season 1, man. So salute to him. He just sent in the $2 super chat one time. He said, one time for the one time. I know that's right, man. He's a Washington football team fan. They got a big win this week, too, man. So salute to anybody who's a Washington football team fan. Y'all know I'm out here in D.C. on North Capitol, in the capital of the United States, man. I'm right here just damn near on death row. These Washington football team fans is definitely trying to come for me, man. 0-3 was looking crazy. Now we got off that, that 0-win bench, and we got a W here against the Saints. Is a beautiful thing. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other ones up here. That's what's up, man. Yeah, so we know that one's a overreaction for sure. Now this one, I'm gonna flip the script on y'all a little bit on this one. This is a really good one. I forget homegirl's name, but we were chopping it up a lot on Twitter about Dave Gettleman. She's a big Dave Gettleman supporter, and the reason why I get down with her is because she is a true fan, supports the team. And in one of the responses to what she was saying, I said, I'm a fan of this. If they on our roster, I'm going to support them. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Nate Solder. I don't care if it's Evan Ingram. I don't care if it's Will Hernandez. I don't care if it's Isaiah Wilson. I want these guys to do well. If the Giants sign them, I'm a Giants fan. I'm looking for these players to play well. And she posted this one on one of the responses on some of the things we were going back and forth on Twitter. And I thought it was an awesome, just awesome take. And I thought, you might be jumping the gun on this one, but I thought it'd be a good one to bring up on the show. So, I wanted to propose this one to y'all too. Dave Gettleman's master plan, she had a finally in it too. She said, Dave Gettleman's master plan is finally coming together, and I am here for it. If y'all think this is an overreaction, let me see a O in the chat, and let me see a U if you're going to take the under on this one. Because for me, I'm going to take the push. So if you want to take the push, we can get a P in the chat too. The Beard is, he's in the chat actually, Ryan C. If you want to chop it up with him, he's under the Awthentik and the Beard account. Beard doesn't usually feature on these shows here for Giant Overreaction, but definitely make sure to check us out tomorrow. Tuesday's show is going to be a lit one, I promise you, because Washington is coming off that major win. Giants are coming off of this major W. The Cowboys went out there and did their thing. Eagles kind of taking their place in the division where we thought they would be. It's going to be a fantastic show, so make sure you pull up tomorrow at 7 p.m. That's my brother, the Beard, one time. Y'all put some biceps in the chat for the Beard. Left side, strong side in the building one time. But, shout out to Ash Money in the building, too. I see you, fam. So Dave Gettleman's master plan is finally coming together, and I'm here for it. So a lot of people I'm seeing already, we got a couple overreactions from the homie Splash Don't Lose, I see. I'm not too sure how to pronounce this one, but the homie Vivek, or I'm going to call him VG one time, he says that could be an overreaction as well. Ash Money's taking the under because, it's looking really good right now. These are the weapons that we talked about. Mara was talking about this in the offseason before entering the draft that, we needed some weapons. They went out there, they got the weapons. I got proof and receipts dating back to January where I was like, the Giants are going to sign Kenny Galladay. And that's what they did. I thought that was an amazing thing. For me in the draft, I was looking at Devontae Smith as being the guy to come in. But, the Eagles and the Cowboys trying to, team up and do what they do to try to knock the Giants off their pedestal. They make the trade, and the Philadelphia Eagles go out there and get Devontae Smith. And then when we traded back and ended up getting Kadarius Toney, now, a lot of people were saying we should have took an offensive lineman here. I think a lot of people were talking about Slater. There was a couple other offensive linemen that were involved in the draft that a lot of people were saying we should go for them too. To me, when you look at that Saints game, Kadarius Toney is looking like that guy right now. He's looking like he's got a gear that not many people have in the NFL. Shifty, quick hands to catch the ball and react and make his move. He sees defense. He's almost like Saquon Barkley at the wide receiver position because he sees the defenders coming at him before they even notice. He sees them, and he can make moves to make guys miss. I want to take the push on this, I'm going to take the push. I'm going to stick with it and take the push. I know people like to keep me in their cell phone, if you saw on Twitter this past week, and keep my takes in their phone to try to call me out on takes. But hey, I stand on it, man. I'm a fan. I'm going to always stand on my takes. It ain't no thing. But for this one, I'm going to take the push on this one because I think one win might be just a little bit too quick for us to be jumping the gun and saying, calling it maybe a master plan. But it's looking real good right now for Dave Gettleman. And that defense is looking poop. I mean, they looking like caca right now. It's been really bad for that defense, which was a top 10 defense last year. They ranked number 9. I came into the season saying that the defense is a bit overrated. I talked about how we've been facing a bunch of backup quarterbacks and a bunch of not A1 quarterbacks, maybe tier 3 quarterbacks. Brandon Allen last year, Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, Andy Dalton, Mitchell Trubisky, Ben Roethlisberger, who's not looking too good this year. There might be a couple others out there I might be forgetting. Let me think. Who else did we run against last year? Yeah, I think that might be it. But that was about a good 6, So good 6 to 7 quarterbacks. Very lackluster that this defense went up against last season. So for me, that was the reasons why I thought we were a little bit overrated on defense. And now we did go out there and get Adoree Jackson, and everybody thought that was going to be the move that was going to put the Giants over the top to be a top 5 defense. But for me, it was the takeaways. We just didn't see a lot of takeaways. And the edge rusher situation is still a problem. We know that, man. Oh, shout out to the homie Big Pat in the building one time. Make sure y'all pull up. Excuse me. Make sure y'all pull up on Big Pat on Wednesday. I'm going to be the featured guest on his show. I think that one's going to be at 7 o'clock. That should be a real interesting one, man. And I'm always in Big Pat's chats. I'm watching him flourish right now in the Giants community. I'm not sure how long his channel has been active or whatnot, but Big Pat's definitely one that you guys want to sub up to, man. I'm a big fan of Big Pat. I'm a big fan of Diggy. I'm a big fan of the Hub. I'm a big fan of Miz. Y'all make sure y'all check out the Miz. His channel's real dope. I'm a big fan of Ash Money. I just found out I wasn't subscribed. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing a lot of his content. And I wasn't subscribed, so I subscribed up to his channel yesterday. Big fan of Entertainer and Bad Dog, man. There's a lot of people in the Giants community doing a lot of good things. Big fan of Pizzle. I love what Pizzle does over there. Pizzle's like my hype man. I swear, like before a game, I love going to Pizzle streams and just gives you that real good fan perspective of things from the New York Giant fan base and whatnot. So definitely go subscribe up to all them dudes, man. They doing their best, and it's not easy cooking up content. I will tell you that. But if I could give anybody advice as far as cooking up content for the New York Giants, it'd be to keep your running shoes by the door. So whatever you do, make your setup easy. Make things where, you just got to go in, push button, always have a backup plan. Today, the backup plan saved me on this show. We weren't going to have a Giant Overreaction today if we didn't have a backup plan. So always keep your running shoes by the door. So all you got to do is put the running shoes on and go running. Shout out to Stephen Lilly one more time right here, one time with the super chat, $2 super chat, man. I appreciate you pulling up. Most importantly, definitely appreciate the super chat as well. He says, Dallas be the test, Diggs and Parsons. Okay, so I think what he's trying to say here is that Dallas will be the test. That's going to be a major test for us with Diggs and Parsons. Major upgrades for them on the defensive side of the ball. That Dallas Cowboys defense right now is looking fantastic, man. Those upgrades, I mean, they're panning out for them. Last year, historically, one of the worst defenses, not, only in the league, but like in NFL history. They were looking really bad. And I think a lot of that had to do with the coordinator over there. You get Dan Quinn from the Atlanta Falcons, and things are looking really good, man. Diggs is looking like a real playmaker in his hands, man. He's making some nice interceptions, looking like his brother over there a little bit with the hands and the way he's catching passes. Dallas is going to be a great test because we know right now Dallas is a full team. They're on all 3 phases of the game. They have been executing. Their defense leads the league in takeaways entering week 4. I'm not too sure after week 4 how that's looking right now, but definitely been getting the turnovers with them. And, the turnover differential with the Dallas Cowboys has been really good, too. They were number 1 in the NFL as well there. Dak Prescott's been taking care of the ball. They showed you offensively that they can win games in a multitude of ways. They can rely on the 2 running back situation over there with Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, or they can just drop back and pass like they did against the Tampa Bay Bucks opening day, Thursday night. That was a fantastic game that showed you, Dallas Cowboys put the whole NFC East, the division, on notice that, yeah, we are definitely a team to be reckoned with. And, they showed you they could throw the ball there. Dak Prescott comes right back, 400-yard game, like it's nothing. And, I talked about this with Daniel Jones. A lot of people, are looking at this Daniel Jones game like, yo, this is some of the best ball we're seeing from Daniel Jones. Like, yeah, it definitely is. We're talking 4 straight games now. Daniel Jones has been over a 90 passer rating. It's the first time in his career that he went over 3 games last week. Now you add into that 4 games. Dak Prescott's a perfect example of this. Early on in his career, Dak Prescott only had 4 300-yard passing games in his first 2 or 3 seasons. I know it was at least 2 seasons. And in his 3rd season, I think he saw his first 400-yard game. And you're looking at Daniel Jones right now in his fourth season, putting up his first 400-yard game. The wide receivers are extremely clicking. I mean, when you can get games like that out of Saquon Barkley, Kenny Galladay, and Kadarius Toney, I mean, just wait until we get Sterling Shepard back into the mix here with this Giants offense. You know, I hope it doesn't, you know, put a wrench in the situation because, man, like the tools are looking really good right now for the New York Giants. I love what I'm seeing out of them. And, you know, it's a good thing to look at Dak Prescott's career, you know, and analyze that. Like, he started off really slow, man, and a lot of people were looking at Dak Prescott like, he's overrated. You know, he's not the guy over there. But I like what I'm seeing out of Dak Prescott. I said this on our podcast a couple of weeks ago with the beard. A role model, you know, a leader, and a great player, a guy who leads by example. You know, it was unfortunate that he went down last season with the broken leg because I think the NFC East would have shaped out a lot differently. I think Dallas would have probably been at the top of the division. And we know right now Dallas is the big dogs in the division. Everybody trying to get to their spot. Washington, you know, definitely saved their season there. I think with a win against Atlanta in a chippy game where it looked like they were going to lose that game in multiple points of the game. Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin, man, they just put that team on their back and did what they had to do. And the Giants did what we had to do, man. Facing 0-4, that would have been really ugly. I think a lot of fans would have been disheartened with that one for sure if we would have lost that game. But as far as the Dave Gettleman the master plan coming together, I saw a lot of unders on this one. Not a lot of people thinking this is an overreaction. And when you see a game like that, man, yeah, it all came together, and I think, yeah, I'll take the push on this one, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards the under for sure myself, you know. Shout out to Word in the building one time, man. One of my day ones, man. Word is Giants Nation in the building one time, yo. Appreciate the 199 super chat. And appreciate your presence in the chat. Most importantly here, he says, I was over the season and then boom, I'm back in. That's how it is, man. That's definitely how it be, man. You know, a big win like this. And this wasn't like a win where we like snuck out. You know, I think if we would have won this game on the defense's back and the offense still had, you know, problems moving the ball and putting up points on the board, it would have been the same old story. You know, everybody talking about fire Jason Garrett, fire Jason Garrett, fire Jason Garrett. Like, I think you got to give a guy some time, man. You know, to me, a lot of what happens wrong in our games is just execution. You know, half the time I'm not looking at it like, oh my God, Jason Garrett's calling these terrible plays. You know, even dating back to my Pee Wee football days, man, I had this coach named Coach Mike, man. Shout out to Coach Mike, who was like just a super hardworking dude. He was like mowing lawns and doing everything he could possibly do, you know, to make ends meet. But most importantly, he just loved football. And I'll never forget something he told me. I played quarterback all the way up until about my junior year in high school. And, you know, he told me, like, it don't matter if the team knows what your play is. If you can execute it and you can win one-on-one battles as a team, you know, every player winning the one-on-one battle, you can execute. We used to run this play, this 34 run, we would run damn near every down. He simplified things for us so that we knew what we were doing. There was not a thing of like, you know, not understanding what the play was, you know, because if you start to try to put too much on somebody's plate, it's hard to eat, straight up, you know. And I think a lot of that with Kadarius Toney is very, very relevant, you know. Like, the kid had a tough offseason. I think it was his grandmother that passed away. He had an injury. He was dealing with COVID, and he's a rookie on top of that. Not a lot of people deal with that kind of adversity and come out of it quickly. And shout out to Kadarius Toney for doing that, you know. Like, I love his energy and his demeanor in all these press conferences. Like, when people in the media are asking him these silly questions, that I see some of these silly questions on Twitter as well, he laughs them off and he just answers them as best as he can. And I love his hood vibe. You know, I love people like that. I grew up with a lot of homies like that just got that hood vibe. You know, that doesn't mean that they're not like very smart people. You know, it's just their lingo and their vernacular is not, you know, the typical vernacular. And I love that, man. We're all different people, man. And I love to see people from different walks of life that can still get on the field and produce and still get out in society and produce. Kadarius Toney's like laughing all this off. I thought it was an amazing thing. And then if you haven't seen the press conference from Kadarius Toney yesterday, it's one of the most amazing press conferences because, yo, he's been very chill. You notice he's had on the like Under Armour kind of hoodie vibes for most of his press conferences throughout the year. And this was the first time they really put him on, you know, the primetime pedestal after a game. And my man was dripped out. Yo, I almost wore the bucket hat today. I was like, I'm going to keep it chill today. But I almost wore the bucket hat today because he came out there with the bucket, had the ice just dripping off his neck. You know, my man was looking like a rapper. And shout out to the Joker, man. You know, he definitely is a rapper as well. You know, but first and foremost, dude is a football player. And, I just love his demeanor that I'm seeing, in these press conferences, on the field. This was the kind of vibe you saw this team high-fiving. And I talked about that before this game. Like, where was that energy, And I talked about Saquon Barkley's comments in the press conference last week about the players believing in the system. Maybe he was talking to a lot of the players there. Like, a lot of people took that and thought he was talking to Jason Garrett. And I thought that a lot of that might have been directed towards the players. This was not a fun team the first 3 weeks. You did not see like Saquon Barkley out there, doing his little dance that the Penn State waving the arms around, and high-fiving, and a lot of people happy and smiling when we scored touchdowns. You saw a tight team that was like not ready to win. And in this game against the Saints, man, it was beautiful to see them having a good time on the field, man, and just enjoying themselves, man. I thought that was a beautiful thing. And camaraderie will be built from that. When you play football and you have fun, it's just a beautiful thing, man. Like, that's how you win games. You want to win games having fun. Nobody's going to win games all tight and you can't even loosen up and things like that. So it was just great to see, man, all-around team win. Even though the defense struggled in this game, when it came down to it, that defense made the plays that were necessary for us to win the game. They gave Daniel Jones that second opportunity, and that's how you win games. I'm not this big stat guy who's just like everything is analytics. And people were like going crazy when Joe Judge talked about the analytics in his last press conference, saying if it was all about analytics, then Bill Gates would be the best coach in the NFL and whatnot. And he's right. It's a great statement. Like, you look at the playoff teams from last season, Colin Cowherd talked about this. There's about 6 of them that deal with analytics on the most part and 6 that don't. There's just 6 teams that just hammer it. You can't beat us. We're a better team than you. So I think analytics are good to take into account, but like, don't let it be the end all be all of the story, And shout out to RB Brooklyn. Brooklyn is in the house without a doubt. What's up, man? Brooklyn is in the building, he says. The best thing is DJ looking good. Number 2 picks next year, maybe a pass rusher and O-line. And F them Cowgirls. You damn right, man. My brother's a Cowboys fan, and my to-be mother-in-law is a Cowboys fan, too. Shout out my bro Mike, and shout out Maria. They've been Cowboys fans forever. And it's definitely difficult having Cowboys fans that close in the family and whatnot. It's going to be real nice to go out there and take care of business if we can. That's going to be a great test, man. I do think we got the firepower to be able to go into a shootout with the Cowboys and maybe come out on top and win that game. Divisional game, we know how these games go. The Giants are always competitive when it comes to playing against the Cowboys. Cowboys have won a lot of those games in the recent past, for sure. Been a solid team for a couple of years here. Definitely fail when it comes to be playoff time and all that. We know what can go wrong, will go wrong with the Cowboys and whatnot. But I'm looking forward to that matchup, man. I think that's going to be a really interesting one. And one to look forward to, their defense against our offense. Can our offense, do the same things we did here in New Orleans at their first home game too, at the Superdome, after all that turmoil from like the weather issues they had, the fire and all that. We go out there in a hostile environment. I went back and listened to a lot of the game, and man, it was loud in there. And when we make those plays at the end, we really quiet them out there, man, and put a silence to the crowd. I thought it was an amazing thing. And lastly, so we got a lot of overreactions on that last one. A lot of people think that Dave Gettleman, the master plan could be an overreaction. We had a good couple unders on that too. I'm going to take the push on that one. I think we're right in the middle of it. Go out there and beat Dallas. I'm going to start feeling a lot better about that one. And lastly, this is one that comes from me, from my thinking. And I wanted to bring this one up here too. Daniel Jones is really getting comfortable in Jason Garrett's system. Look, man. A lot of people call Daniel Jones a one-read quarterback, and a lot of that dates back to last season. And I think, it was 70% of the passes that Daniel Jones was going to his first read on last season, which I think that Jason Garrett was trying to get him comfortable, get him to be the leader of this offense and, get him into a flow, It's not easy just grasping these new concepts from new coordinators every year. Daniel Jones, he had the 2 coordinators the first 2 seasons, which is it's difficult for a quarterback to get comfortable in that kind of a situation. But looking at that Saints game, I mean, Daniel Jones literally is in control of the game. You've seen a lot of audibles. I saw a play where Kadarius Toney was in the slot. No one lined up on him in the slot, so he kind of gave Daniel Jones like the little, hey, I'm about to be wide open vibes. And it was a disguise by the Saints defense. As soon as they said hike, the man dropped in coverage right over Kadarius Toney. And, man, Kadarius Toney runs a slant, plants his foot in the ground, and Daniel Jones does not even think twice. The ball is out quickly. Boom, puts a dart right on Kadarius Toney. So you're just seeing Daniel Jones at the line doing things that you did not see his rookie season. I think he's very in control of this offense. So for me, Daniel Jones really getting comfortable in this Jason Garrett system. This is not an overreaction. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the chat one time. If you think it's an overreaction, go ahead and put the O out there. If you think that, hey, one game might not be enough, to say that Daniel Jones is getting comfortable in this system. But I also looked at the Atlanta game too, and granted, we had a bunch of failures in the red zone in that game. It was the crowd in Atlanta was nothing like the crowd at the Saints game, or maybe it was just a production thing with the Fox broadcast for that game. But I could really hear the signals at the line. And I'm in a recording studio with like $3,000 monitors in here. I mean, these speakers sound amazing in here. And I could totally hear Daniel Jones at the line on every play. And man, he was up there sounding like Peyton Manning with them Omahas and all that, really doing his thing, checking out of plays. And we know that with Victor Cruz and Mario Manningham, that interview they just did on Eli Manning, talking about how Eli Manning was a lot of the reason why they were lined up in the right position. You go back to 2018 and look at Eli Manning with Saquon Barkley, the 91 catches. A lot of that's got to do with what Eli Manning is doing at the line, checking out of things, making the right moves, putting people in the right positions to be able to succeed, which starts with the coaches, but then second is going to, be on the quarterback as well. And I see a lot of that from Daniel Jones. I see Daniel Jones moving people around at the line. This guy knows this offense very well, and I think it's just going to get better. I think it'll be, when we get about around the bye and around week 9, week 10, you're going to see Daniel Jones be even more in control of this offense, and you're going to see a guy who's really got, control of his team and a leader. And just looking at some of the pictures of Daniel Jones, the big flex when he scores the touchdown. I like seeing that kind of emotion out of our quarterback, man. Really riling the guys up and getting them hyped to go out there and make plays, man. Like, I'm waiting for that moment from Daniel Jones that we'll see that'll be like a Patrick Mahomes moment, where I don't know if you guys remember that one from Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs against the Houston Texans, down by like 28 points. Patrick Mahomes is like, let's just go out here and make a play. Trust me, we got this. We make one play there in man-to-man. All you got to do is make one man miss, and you're going to be off to the races. And that was the case, man. They end up winning that game. I'm just waiting for Daniel Jones to get that moment. This kid is really, really maturing into be a franchise quarterback. And I almost put that as one of the questions or one of the statements here that I wanted to do for this show today about Daniel Jones being the franchise quarterback, but I just wanted to address it myself. I've been saying the evaluation period for Daniel Jones is over. He is the franchise quarterback. If this team does not succeed, that's not going to be on Daniel Jones. He's corrected the turnover problems. You're looking at 1 interception, 2 interceptions in the last 9 games, He's taking care of the ball. He had the 1 fumble here that happened, but he got it back, and he knows now the offensive line is not A1. Played a fantastic game in this game, though. Shout out to that Giants offensive line one time because they played a fantastic game. But I just think that Daniel Jones is definitely the guy, and maybe there is a offensive coordinator out there more well suited for a guy like Daniel Jones. Maybe that is the case, but I do think it can work with Garrett. And I hope that this season is full of more positive vibes like we saw on Sunday. And then when it comes time in the offseason, to either make a move or stand strong on Jason Garrett, we can make the decision a little bit easier, because I think right now it's going to be a difficult decision for me, at least. I know for some fans, they ride the narratives that they just see online from whoever they support the most or whatever. So if this guy's saying, hey, fire Jason Garrett, then they all running with that same narrative. For me, I use my eyes. I'm my own man. I take a bunch of opinions into consideration, and then I make my own opinion out of that. I think right now, 4 games in, Jason Garrett called a great game plan against the Washington football team, and he called a great game plan against the New Orleans Saints. I thought that the game plan was pretty decent against the Atlanta Falcons. There wasn't much there for me to nitpick. The problems happened, and they arose in the red zone, and it happened out of execution. I broke that down early on the show. I'll give you the cliff notes on it if you missed it earlier on in the show. But really, there's those 2 failures in the red zone that happened out of mistakes. And the third opportunity was with Nate Solder late in the game. You also can't forget about the Evan Ingram fumble. That was another one. We're in a scoring opportunity, getting to be around midfield, 40-yard line. You fumble. You got Daniel Jones letting the snap go through his hands. You got Nate Solder missing the block. You got Billy Price and Ben Bredeson, whiffing on blocks, falling at the line. All those plays lead to lost yards, and we're not talking about 2 and 3 yards lost. We're talking about 10 and 11 and 12 yards lost. It's hard to climb yourself up out of those holes, and Jason Garrett can't do nothing about execution. That's the one thing. Coaches can coach, but players got to go out there and make plays. But shout out to Stephen Lilly one more time. for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. Um, he says, I credit Thomas most. DJ not playing scared anymore, and the O-line looked like it's moving forward. Yeah, I mean, totally, dude. Like, Andrew Thomas is like a lockdown corner almost at the left tackle position. He's almost Daniel Jones doesn't have to worry too much about his blind side. And I think that Bredesen is doing a decent job at the guard position. In this game, we had I want to say Matt Skura was playing a lot of guard as well. You know, tackle is one thing, but like when you shading these defenders, these edge rushers to the outside, quarterback needs space to step up in the pocket. So we got to commend the guards a little bit on that too. But man, Andrew Thomas has been fantastic. He's looking like the first round draft pick that everybody thought he would be. And you know, I'm not jumping the gun on anything too early here, but with Isaiah Wilson, I'm looking for him to like come in here and be a player. I mean, he was at Georgia with Andrew Thomas as well, and the dude is just like a massive, just stature is ridiculous. Dude's like 350 plus 6'6", mauler. You know, he was throwing people around in college. I mean, just ridiculous. But you know, he's a young guy. He's only 22 years old, I believe. People make mistakes in life, man. I'm willing to give people the second chance, man. Mike Vick being a perfect example of that. You know, I was a big fan of Mike Vick when he was down in Atlanta, and he was the spokesman for the NFL draft the year before all the dog fighting stuff came out, and he had to go do some time. And when he came back, man, I was all in support of his comeback. I love that Andy Reid gave him the second chance with the Eagles, man, and I thought that was fantastic for Mike Vick to have some of his best years as a Philadelphia Eagle. A lot of people gonna forget about that, you know. But it was great for him, and then he became a you know, a guy who you saw out there in society giving back a lot, man. He did a lot for the community, and I love to see Mike Vick right now on FS1 and things like that. You know, Colin Coward always brings him on. You know, a few other of the analysts on FS1 bring him on, and it's an amazing thing, you know, to see people get the second chance and then win in that second chance. You know, I think that like this day and age with the NFL, a lot of people, they want immediate results, you know, and that goes back to Daniel Jones. You know, they want to see Daniel Jones come out the gate and just be that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like right off the bat, you know, they want to see Patrick Mahomes. But like, tell me the other guys that are Patrick Mahomes. It's not many, you know. Justin Herbert's a guy who came out the gate balling out. But even Baker Mayfield with a good rookie campaign, you know, he broke the touchdown record in his rookie season. People were still looking at him going into year two like, he's not the guy, you know, and whatnot. And you know, they go over there and they put the weapons around him and build an identity with the Browns. And Baker Mayfield's looking like a solid quarterback nowadays, you know. And I think that the Giants need to do the exact same thing. The next thing is build the identity. Maybe the identity is Daniel Jones. I don't know. You know, when you put the weapons around him, he seems like he can be the identity. And man, the dude was making some great throws. You know, he was throwing the ball away when he needed to, when it was necessary. I saw 2 back-to-back throwaways where I was just like, man, that's a quarterback that's maturing right there. And I love to see it, man. You know, like I'm one that's always rooting for the team. I always want to see Daniel Jones, you know, excel. You know, and until he's not the quarterback, and even when he's not even if he isn't the quarterback for the New York Giants, I'd still probably root for Daniel Jones outside of our, you know, our organization. You know, I always told my boy the Beard, like when people were talking about, cut Eli, trade Eli in that last season around 2020, I was like, yo, y'all need a quarterback, Washington. If y'all go out there and get Eli Manning, I'm going to root for y'all. You know, I'm going to root for y'all to win. I'm going to root to see my man Eli Manning win. I hear a lot of Giants content creators say, you know, it's not about the name on the back of the jersey. It's about the name on the helmet and stuff like that. And I agree with that to an extent. But at the same time, the organization is nothing without the players. You know, that's like saying, this is a good example that might be a little bit controversial, right? It's like saying, you know, it's about the flag that you represent when you go to war. Like, and U.S. kind of abides by that. You see veterans come back from serving this country and they be homeless and there's no program set up for them to really excel out here. That's a disgrace if you ask me, you know? And for me, you got it. The soldiers that are on the front line are just as important as the flag being represented. And to me, the same thing goes for a football team. You know, the name on that helmet is very important, but the players that go to war and put their bodies out there, you know, on the line week in and week out, that's super important, man. That's we got to commend those guys. So, you know, when players leave the Giants, I love that saying that Eli said, once a Giant, always a Giant. And shout out to Diggy who uses that in the beginning of his all of his streams. You hear Eli saying that. I think that's very important, man. Like I'm one that is for the players, you know, like take care of these guys. I look at Odell Beckham, you know, as a guy that the Giants organization kind of failed him. You know, he was an outstanding playmaker with, you know, definitely had some maturity issues for sure. But like, you got to have somebody that's there for damage control, you know. And I hope they learn a lesson with that, and you know, they can move forward in the development of players, you know, in a positive way with guys like Isaiah Wilson, who, if you don't know the story about Isaiah Wilson, I mean, this dude was like out here getting wasted, DUIs. He got a second chance with the Miami Dolphins, and he agreed to show up to a non-mandatory minicamp, and then didn't show up, and they saw him on Instagram dancing on top of a car, like shooting a rap video with some girls in the background and whatnot, and it looks crazy. I mean, it looks crazy. He had some stuff on his Twitter that was saying he's done with football. His life is pretty much over. People are getting worried about his mental health and things like that. And I think, you know, Dave Chappelle said this best. The one worst thing to ever deem anybody is crazy, man. Like, you know, that label of crazy, they was calling Dave Chappelle crazy because he went to Africa to clear his mind, to just chill out, and didn't take I believe it was like $50 million plus on the line from Comedy Central for one of the best shows ever. Dave Chappelle's show was one of the best shows ever. I love that show. And people were calling him crazy. Like, you know, dude went to Africa. It's crazy. Like, man, yo, we cannot dismiss people as crazy. I think that's just a scapegoat, you know, and trying to blame people. Some people got mental health issues, man, and we got to be here to support them, I think. And I think Odell Beckham, you know, was the start of that. The first time that I really saw that, like the organization just really failing a guy, man. And they should have found a way to like keep him in check. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't, you know, unfortunately they couldn't. But you know, it goes back to this, and, you know, I say all that to say, like, I support Odell Beckham. You know, shout out to Nick the Wick. There's the Odell Beckham jersey on the back wall here that's out of my frame. Signed by Odell Beckham, man. And I take pride in that. Odell Beckham is the second wide receiver in every statistic for the New York Giants, and he did it in 4 years. The guy who's above him, Amani Toomer, played for like 20 seasons, man. So, like, Odell Beckham was just, like, a great player, and I definitely miss him, which definitely takes me to this next super chat here one time. DJ Aguero, maybe? Shout out to DJ Aguero for the $2 super chat one time. He said, you miss OBJ? Yeah, I definitely miss OBJ. And we beaten Dallas. I'm not going to go out on a limb right now and give no predictions on the Dallas game. I think we got a good chance, though. You know, I definitely think we got a good chance to win that game. We just got to go out here and get things clicking. We're still waiting for that defense to get right, I think, you know. Seeing the Denver Broncos, that's probably the only game where the defense really, really shined, I feel like, a good bit. You know, they were allowing a lot of big plays, though, in the middle of the field was open. But, you know, that's the one game we got a good turnover in, I feel like, with the Logan Ryan strip there at the end. Atlanta was a decent performance from the defense, but when we needed the big play, that didn't show up. And, yeah, I mean, you know, I can't go out on a limb right now and say we'll beat Dallas. I do think it's going to be a really good game. Is that game, I can't remember if that game is in New York or if it's in New York here at MetLife. I think that's a determining factor for sure. Home team's going to definitely have an advantage. Cowboys are balling out right now. Giants coming off a great win. This should be a really good game, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. But appreciate you sending in a $2 super chat, and appreciate your presence, bro. Just pulling up to the stream, man. That means a lot to me. Right now we got 122 viewers, bro. That's a record for our stream here. Oh, and we actually hit 1,800 subscribers, man, yesterday. So we appreciate y'all, man, for pulling up, man. You know, me and the Beard, when the Beard came to me with this idea, I was a little bit worried about it. You know, I was kind of like, how we gonna pull this off? Sat on the idea pretty much for like a whole 6 months, and found a way to, you know, produce it. You know, the Beard had these very extravagant production methods that we were trying to go about, and we really didn't know. You know, it's kind of like, I like to look at it like a music video. Like when people think about, if you're an artist and you're like, yo, I want to do a music video, people come to me with these ideas when they've never really dealt with like the camera situation and how many resources you got. And they're like, yo, I want to be like floating up in the sky, and I want to be like standing on a telephone pole like Kendrick Lamar. And it's like, at the end of the day, you kind of got to know what resources you got. And, you know, we really hashed that out in the first season of Awthentik and the Beard, man. I was spending like 14 hours doing editing and stuff like that. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, man, like keep your running shoes by the door. The Beard started going live on, his channel over the years, where he does reselling of like a bunch of antique stuff and like vintage clothing and all kind of stuff. If you're not familiar, go look up Over the Years on YouTube. I'm sure somebody will put that in the chat for you. If you need some vintage gear for your favorite NFL team, man, definitely holler at my boy the Beard, Tim. He'll definitely get you straight. Him, his homie Cernock, man, they literally got like some of the most dopest vintage pieces, man. He's hooked me up with so much Giants gear. Both of my banners in the back come from him. So definitely sub up to him, man. But yeah, man, it's like, you know, the podcast took it started to grow more, and we started to see a lot more people subscribing to the show and whatnot. And I really got to shout out my homie, the entertainer, Talking Sports, man, because he was one of the main people that featured me on, early on, like when we didn't have nothing. When we had about 80 subscribers, he featured me on his channel, and a lot of people, took heed to our chemistry and really liked how, we talked about football together, and that led to the first burst of subscribers on the channel, man. So I really got to send a big shout out to him and Bad Dog for just sharing the platform with us, man. I still got to get Bad Dog on one of these shows. I wanted to reach out to him for this one, but I know Bad Dog's a little bit more busy during the day, so maybe I'm gonna do a giant overreaction one of these days on a Sunday night, or maybe even a late Monday night. If we get a W on a Monday night game, I can bring Bad Dog on, because I think those two guys are so pivotal to the New York Giants, man. Like, they're like the foundation for this, like they were the first people I saw really doing this, and Kyle Pizzle too, Kyle Pizzle's video of, I think it was back in like 2007, where he was talking about Eli Manning and how much faith he had in Eli Manning before the Super Bowl win. And, to go back and look at that video now, that was one of the big reasons why, like, I wanted to do Giants content, was to create a series of documentation of my thoughts on the team, so that when we do get like a really big moment, I can look back on it and have these memories and share them with all my peoples and whatnot. So, I mean, I really appreciate y'all, man, for subbing up. And if you aren't subbed up, sub up right there. If you digging the vibes on the channel, man, this is just one of the shows that we do. This is the only solo show that I do on the channel. Every other show is with my homie, The Beard. We're Awthentik in the Beard. We do Tuesdays, Thursdays at 7 o'clock, and then we do a show called The Parlay at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday mornings, where we just kind of like go over every game. We make picks, talk fantasy, players to look for, people to sit, people to start, and kind of like as a community go over all of our rosters and lineups for fantasy football, and just try to give the best tips on fantasy, which have not been working for me this year. I'm gonna keep them 100. I'm in three leagues, and I'm 0-4 in every league. I've lost just about every week by like 3 points, man. Unfortunate for me on the fantasy side of things. But as far as the picks, man, I've been doing really well, man. A lot of upset picks I've been picking. I picked the Raiders over the Steelers. I picked the Ravens last week over the Chiefs, and had a couple more this week, man. I'm 10-4 going in, or 11-4 now going into this Monday night matchup between the Chargers and the Raiders. And I'm picking the Raiders in that one. I'm high on Derek Carr, man. I think Derek Carr is a sleeper quarterback. Shout out to my homie Mr. HD in the building. I see you in the chat too, man. He's a big Raiders fan. Been telling me about Derek Carr for a long time. But as far as this whole Daniel Jones getting really comfortable in the system, I definitely think he's getting comfortable, man. It's dude's just looking like he's really commending this offense. I love what I'm seeing, man. So let's right now we're about, what are we in here, man? I'm on a totally different new platform doing this stream for those of y'all that don't know. Because Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, StreamYard, all of them were down today. And even though I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, I thought it was very important to be able to get a stream out to y'all, man, and just chop it up. And it's unfortunate I can't highlight a lot of the chat right now within OBS right now. But I've been seeing y'all comments. Appreciate y'all having the talks in the comments section. But let's end this show, man. If y'all got any like other questions y'all want to add before we end the stream out, we're at about an hour, 12 minutes right now. I'll go another 15 minutes and try to keep my eye on the chat as much as possible. And if y'all got any questions, man, or anything, any statements y'all want to say in the chat, I'll just go and respond to some of the statements in the chat and whatnot. And and then we'll wrap this one up, man. It's been a fantastic, couple of days right now for the Giants, and it's gonna be a fantastic week. I'm gonna enjoy these 7 days, very, very, very proper, man. Just love what I saw out of this offense, man. And I'm a skill position kind of guy, so like, having our offense go out there and really ball out, it really meant a lot to me, man. I enjoyed watching them on Sunday. Daniel Jones just lighting it up, and it just seemed like the Saints could not stop us. I mean, it was beautiful. It was just a beautiful execution of the game plan, and the offense was moving the way that I like to see them moving. I see Josh Collin in the building. He says, "Damn, I came late over here. Awthentik was good. Everything's good, man. You know how it is with the W's, man. It really solves everything, man. W's can make a fan base think the coaches are coaching amazing, players doing amazing, all that. Not a lot of people are even talking about that defense today because the Giants got a W. You know, it almost didn't really matter, man. Shout out to my homie The Beard one time in the chat, man. Yeah, we appreciate each and every one of y'all for pulling up. I see Joe Arias has a question. He says, how do we stop that Cowboys offense? Whew. Okay. So let me get a little sip of water on this one. Okay, so first and foremost, the Giants have done a really, really good job of stopping the run this year. You know, I thought we did a really good job against the Broncos. You know, outside of that big run late, you know, you're pressing, you're trying to make a play there. The game's almost out of reach. And Melvin Gordon got that big run to put the Broncos over 100 yards in that game. But I thought we did a fantastic job against the run for the most part against them. We did a really good job against the run against the Washington football team as well. And we did a fantastic job against the run against the Atlanta Falcons. But I do think that the Atlanta Falcons had one thing on us, you know, and this was the key to their success, was they didn't stop committing to the run. You know, they said, we're going to hammer this run. They committed to Mike Davis, and they committed to Cordero Patterson, who Washington football team fans got to see that in their game. Cordero Patterson is a baller. I don't know why teams aren't utilizing him, you know, more like he has been used in the past 2 seasons. You saw a little bit of this with the Chicago Bears, and now you're seeing it with the Atlanta Falcons. It's really amazing to see that. I like a guy like that, a slash kind of a vibe, who can play out. He's tough enough to play out of the running back position, but you could line him up in the slot. You can have him returning kicks. You can put him in tight end. I mean, he could do everything, you know, so I really like what I saw to that. But I think as far as the Cowboys matchup, it's going to start by stopping the run. If you can't stop Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, you're not going to have a chance at winning that game. And they both went off last week, you know, in their game. They went back to the run, and I'm looking for them to try to utilize that in their game plan, you know, to start with the run. And once we stop the run, then it's up to our linebackers and our secondary to, you know, close out. Like, you can't have, like, all these the yards of separation. You know, we've been seeing that a lot from the Giants defense this year, where it's like our defenders are like 2 steps back. They're almost in position, but they're not quite in position. You know, so I think it's going to start with stopping the run. I think that's number one, defensively for the Giants. And then outside of that, you got to have good coverage. We brought in guys like a Dory Jackson to be able to have the press coverage, one-on-one, man-to-man. And it's important that we do that, you know. So I think we're going to have to, you know, do what we can at all costs to stop that run. You know, if you got to put 8 in the box and go man-to-man on the edges, then that's what you're going to have to do, you know. But I think it's important. Start with the run, stop the run. And then from there, you know, your offense got to do what you did here in this Saints game and, you know, be able to put points up on the board. Don't fail in the red zone. The Giants still struggled in the red zone. I talked about this earlier. 4 straight games were 1 for 3 in the red zone. This game against the Saints, we can cover that up a little bit because they were scoring from just outside of the red zone a lot. And the big plays mattered. The Saquon Barkley, you know, little wheel route that he talked about with Daniel Jones. They ran that play earlier in the first half, and Saquon Barkley went back to Daniel and said, "Hey, man, I see something here, man. So when we get this one next, look for me to turn this one up the field and you know, get this wheel route, and we'll look for a big play." And that's what ended up happening. Kenny Galladay was on fire. You know, they couldn't stop him. It's strange to me that you only saw one person around the ball a lot of the time when we were throwing to Kenny Galladay. You know, that's a guy you don't want to just have a one-on-one matchup with if you're a defense. He's a nightmare. And we saw that in this game. What was it? It was 6 catches for 116 yards for Kenny Galladay. So for me, this is back-to-back weeks for Kenny Galladay, you know, balling out, like just straight doing his thing. I know the numbers last week weren't crazy, but I talked about it, man. Them pass interference calls, I think it was 3 pass interference calls on Kenny Galladay last game. I know that one of them led to a first down and one of them led to a 1st and goal. So there's that, man. Like, Kenny Galladay, you know, sometimes it might not show up statistically, but he's going to be a weapon that will be able to get a lot of these other wide receivers open throughout the rest of the season. They just got to continue to use him right. And I love how in his press conference, he gave a nod to Jason Garrett. You know, he said, JG dialed it up, man, and we went to practice. We practiced it. It looked good in practice. We saw openings for it in the game, and we implemented it in the game. And in return, you got, you know, your quarterback putting up 400-plus yards through the air. I mean, we cannot ask for any more out of this offense. That was a fantastic game. I know a lot of people were jumping the gun early on in the half. You know, oh, this is the same vibe as last game. JG not doing what he's supposed to be doing. The Giants only got 7 points on the board, 10 at half, I believe it was. You know, but you got to be patient. The one thing that a lot of people don't look at, that I look at a lot during the game, is I look at the box score, and I take a look at the time of possession. We were getting dominated on time of possession in that third quarter. The Saints were at 31 minutes and the Giants were at 18 minutes of time of possession. So Can't win games with your quarterback on the sideline. And the Denver Broncos game was a great example of that. You know, they had the drive right before the half where, you know, they had an 8-minute drive to end the half, and then they get the ball at the half, and they come out and give us another 8-minute drive. That game's pretty much out of reach there, you know. So with the quarterback on the sideline, there's no way that you're going to be able to win games, you know, unless your defense is you know, looking like that Ravens defense from the 2000s, or, you know, looking like the Bears defense from 1985 or something like that. But, you know, I don't think that's the case here with New York. So, yeah, definitely going to have to put up some points on the offensive side of the ball. It's important to capitalize when you're in the red zone, I think, for sure. And shout out to OGR Sports one time in the building with the $4.99 super chat, man. I appreciate you pulling up. Most importantly, bro, I appreciate you being here in the chat. He says, low key for overreaction. I understand losing and having your head in your hand, but if we win, you have to change that thumbnail. Good stuff as always. Nah, I even thought about that today about the thumbnail. I'm gonna run with that thumbnail for the rest of the season. You know, that picture is actually from last season. When we lost to the Eagles. And Evan Ingram overthrow and / drop or whatever. You know, it was definitely a drop for sure. Little pass could have been a little bit better, but that picture's from there. And I'm about identity, man. And I don't know if y'all know, like, when it comes to thumbnails on YouTube, bro, it's getting super corny. Like, everybody doing the same style thumbnails, you know, with the whole face, like, you know, like they're all excited, whatever, man. Like, for me, y'all got to know, since day one, I'm going to just keep it authentic. With my music, I've been like that. And with podcasting, I'm the exact same way. I'm all about having an identity and bringing a value to the community that's unlike everybody else. You know, so this game was not by any means a perfect game from the New York Giants. You know, defensively, there was definitely a lot of things to clean up. And I think offensively, you know, there's still a lot more to do. You know, we could still do a lot more. Saquon Barkley could be running the ball a little bit better. We could be more effective in the regular running game, outside of just like the screen passes and stuff we're doing to get him implemented in the passing game. And, you know, this offensive line, I'd like to see them get better down the stretch too, you know, with the run blocking. This was a better game run blocking from the offensive line, though. I like what I saw. There was a couple videos going viral there about Andrew Thomas's pancake there on the Daniel Jones 2-point conversion. And that Daniel Jones 2-point conversion is funny because Saquon Barkley fakes the run, and he pretty much thinks, you know, like, once I fake the run, I'm out of the play. So he just kind of like fakes the run, and then he just kind of backs out of the way, kind of just starts like hopping off the sideline and whatnot. And Daniel Jones is right there, like, looking for a block, found a way to tiptoe and maneuver and make his way into the end zone. I thought it was a gutsy play and a gutsy call. I love how on these 2-point conversions, Jason Garrett is putting the ball into Daniel Jones' hand. You know, he's our best playmaker at the moment, and he can really, you know, he's a big body, big kid. He can run the ball, he can pass the ball, you know. So when you fake that kind of pass right at the line and you run that late draw up the middle with the quarterback, it's beautiful. It gives you a lot of options, man. So I like what I'm seeing there. But shout out to OGR. But as far as, man, like, you know, thumbnails and all that, man, it's an identity thing. I want people to see that and know that that's my vibe. You know, that's me. That's what it is. It's authentic in the beard one time here. And I think we got another I got another super chat here from the homie. Shout out to the homie Big Pat. Y'all make sure y'all go sub up to Big Pat Sports Talk. I'm going to be on his channel on Wednesday if you missed the beginning of the show. He says, yo, I can't wait for the show Wednesday, bro. Been wanting you on the show because of the support you give. You keep me motivated to keep creating content and grow for real, man. Hey, I appreciate that, man. And for a lot of people that don't know, you know, when it comes to what I do in my just day-to-day life, you know, I'm an OG. I'm 38 years old. I'll be 39 in July next year. And I'm an OG around here. I'm a DC veteran as far as it goes in the music community, right? So, and I run a recording studio. I work with a lot of young artists. And everything I do here is about mentorship. You know, I don't just work with people because they got money. I work with people because I see something in them. I see talent. I see skill sets. And, you know, I always try to give people game and make them skip a lot of the steps that I had to, you know, the hurdles that I had to jump over as an artist coming up in the DC community in around the early 2000s, you know, when being an independent artist back then was a lot different than it is today. You know, like, I had to sell CDs hand to hand and go make relationships with people face to face, where nowadays a lot of people have that advantage of utilizing social media and, you know, DSPs, you know, these companies that are allowing you to be able to make a song one day and be able to literally push button and upload it the next day. So we're in a different time. And, you know, I come from an era of a little bit, you had to grind the gears a little bit more to get success out of it, you know. And I look to help people skip any hurdle that I had back in the day. As a mentor, that's what I try to do. And you know, so as far as Big Pat, man, like, yo, I just try to bring positivity to the community, man. Like, I'm not trying to be one of these dudes that, like, you know, is a negative Nancy all day long and just complaining and, you know, in people's chats just talking a bunch of gibberish and just, you know, hating on stuff and hating on the content and hating on people. You know, I try to look at the positive things, and when people come to me for advice, you know, I'm gonna totally just give you 100 advice. Like, I'm gonna try to keep it 100 with you every time. You know, I've had a lot of Giants content creators that have hit me up about the look and the sound of the show, and they want to know how they can get their mic to sound a certain way and things like that. And I'll literally, like, Max is one of the homies who started the show, where he interviews content creators and whatnot. And, like, yo, I was like spending nights with him, you know, chopping it up with him and getting his setup right, you know, and for no money, bro. Like, I'm just doing this out of the love of the team that I love, for one, and trying to help people that are younger than me or less experienced than me to skip some of those steps, man. So shout out to Big Pat one time in the building, man. That's, you know, that's just my duties, is what I like to do. You know, there's a saying that says, be the change you want to be in the world. And, like, when I was coming up, bro, I didn't have a lot of help. Like, I was my own manager. The Beard will tell you. The Beard will be running sound with me. We be running cables before the show. We be building a stage. We took like 100 people out one time to the beach, and we rented out a hotel and had this crazy party and rented out a spot. We had people that were on the bus with us helping us build the stage before the show. So we come from a whole different era of grinding, man. But you know, whatever I could do to help the community, I'll definitely do that, man. That's just what it is. I see we got another super chat too from another bit. You know, this one of my great homies here in the Giants community. I didn't shout him out earlier, and I really should have. It just slipped my mind. Big Blue in the Bronx, man. My man, yo. For one, he's got a voice like Ron Jaworski. I swear, like, his delivery is so good, and his takes are just so honest. You know, he's not the kind of guy you're gonna have to see putting out a take out there that's just outlandish. You know, he really studies the game, very invested in his teams, and he not only does football, he does some baseball stuff, some basketball stuff as well. So make sure y'all sub up to Big Blue in the Bronx, and his twin bro, man. They both put out really good content. He says, hey, man, big win. Excuse me. Proud of DJing this offense. We need consistency. Zeke had a big game versus Carolina. Defense needs to adjust. They let Kamara and Hill walk over us. That's a good point you bringing up there, man. Shout out to Big Blue in the Bronx one time. Yo, like, some dude screaming out front of my house, like, in Spanish. It's pretty crazy, but almost lost my train of thought there. But a good point you brought up there, Big Blue in the Bronx, about Kamara and Hill, man. Like, I think that was probably the saddest thing to see about our defense on Sunday, was some of those Taysom Hill runs. I mean, he's just, like, throwing people off of him like rag dolls. He was looking like Derrick Henry out there. And Jabril Peppers said in the press conference, he said, man, yo, he's a physical guy, man, strong guy, definitely difficult to take him down to the ground. Yeah, and man, like, we got to clean that up. Giants tackling looks atrocious right now. I'd say outside of Logan Ryan, who I think when he comes up to make the tackles, he's very physical when he's making some of those tackles. But our linebackers, man, Taysom Hill was throwing them around. Kamara, I've been saying, you know, yeah, Saquon Barkley needs to be utilized like Kamara, but I do think Kamara is probably a better downhill runner than Saquon Barkley. And that might be because he's Haitian. Shout out to my folks, man. Y'all, if y'all don't know, both my folks is Haitian. And that might come from that. You know, they say Haitians are strong, bro. Like, straight up. Got that man strength. And Kamara just running over people, man. Like, he's just a straightforward guy, but he also is just as shifty as a guy like Saquon Barkley, man. So, yeah, I agree with you, Big Blue in the Bronx. We definitely got to clean that up, man. That tackling is something that you can't fix overnight, but a way to be able to get better at that is you got to gang tackle, man. You can't be looking around at the end of plays. Finish plays, you know, play all the way through the whistle, as my homie The Beard would say. And, you know, make sure guys are on the ground. Make sure the plays are done before you get walking off the field, because some of that tackling around the red zone was just atrocious on Sunday. And had we have lost that game, those are some of the things that we would be looking at like, oh, my God, man. But shout out to Big Blue in the Bronx for the super chat, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. And go sub up to the homie, man. He's got a great channel over there for sure. Let's see, man. Can we get an authentic beat to the Joker? Hey, that's a great idea, man. I've been listening to some of his stuff. He's got a aggressive kind of trap sound in the production, man. So I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna think about trying to cook him up some beats, man. It won't be hard to send him some beats. The awesome thing about social media, man, is like you could just reach out to these people. It's nothing nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like, I reached out to Carl Banks and I was like, yo, man, I've got these one-of-one Nike Dunks that Nike sent me, and they sent me this hat. Shout out to Nike for that, man, because they don't do things like that, you know, on a normal basis. And they sent me some shoes that I designed that they put a cancel to the whole Nike ID thing with the Nike Dunks. And then like 5-6 months later, I get this big ass package on my door, and voila, the Nike Dunks is right up in there, Giants colors. I'm gonna sport those when we go to the game, probably against the Eagles. And I reached out to Carl Banks, and I said, Carl Banks, man, I need some swag for these Dunks. I need something that's gonna match these, because he's the ambassador right now for Starter. And he responded to it, and he said he put question marks because I guess he didn't know what I was talking about with the swag and whatnot. And somebody answered, oh, Awthentik's looking for some clothes to go with these shoes. And he was like, say less. I go to my DMs, and the legendary Carl Banks is in my DMs. I'm so surprised. I'm just like, this is the craziest thing ever. And he was like, yo, you email my assistant, we'll send you something off. The assistant hit me up after I emailed, reached back out to me. And they're like, we got a couple different options, man. What you want? And like, yo, I picked this fire starter, zip up, Giants, like varsity style type jacket. And it might be on my porch. So if my girl is tuned in right now, keep your eye out on the porch one time. I don't want nobody stealing that package, man. You know how they do out here in DC, man. They will steal your package. But shout out to Carl Banks, man. So maybe I can reach out to Joke and send him some beats one time. Hey, Glock, I see you in the building one time. What's up, fam? How you living? Giants Nation, we always in the building one time. We got 132, man, right now in the building, man. This is crazy, man. This was a fun stream, man. I had a blast kicking it with y'all for this Giant Overreaction. Real laid-back vibes today, man. It was real cool, man. I enjoyed this one, man. And good to chop it up with y'all, man. I'm glad to see all my day ones here in the building and a bunch of new faces. It seems that this Giant Overreaction show always brings in a bunch of new faces. If you're new here, man, and you like what you're hearing and whatnot, and you digging the vibes, man, make sure to sub up. We do content every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Sunday, and now we've been doing it every Monday. It's been fun, man. It's been fun. And I'm enjoying being a content creator. It's really easy here in the recording studio to just push button on the camera and just get going. It's been a really fun year, and I'm looking forward to having a winning season with the New York Giants, man. Like, while I'm cooking up content, it would just be great, man. And I see PJ in the chat saying KT can be something special for real, and I 1,000% agree with you on that. Like, Kadarius Toney is very shifty, and a lot of times when you look at like highlight tapes of players coming out of college, they usually look a little bit faster, like in college. And then they get to the league, and you're like, oh, this guy kind of doesn't look as fast. The NFL speed makes him look a little bit slower. And Kadarius Toney was not a guy who I thought at Florida was like all about speed. He was more about shifting gears and, changing direction. But seeing him on the field yesterday, his speed has not took a hit at all being in the NFL. I mean, he looks like he might have got faster, shiftier, and quicker. So I definitely think that Kadarius Toney can be a guy moving forward. He can be one of those weapons. And what's different about Kadarius Toney is he's getting a lot of yards, not on the real big play like the big pass. He's doing it, catching short routes and really making it happen after the catch. I can't think of wide receivers that have done that in the past. Like, somebody mentioned Deontay Hall as one of them, but like, I don't know, man. Like, this dude is moving on that field. And I'm trying to think of some players, that kind of move like that. And I think actively in the NFL, the only person I can think of is DJ Moore. With the kind of success that Kadarius Toney had on Sunday. He's just moving around out there, making catches in tight windows, man, and just people cannot tackle him, man. I love what I'm seeing out of the kid, man. And having a guy like Kenny Galladay on the outside is going to take away a lot of pressure from a guy like Kadarius Toney. My thing now is when Sterling Shepard comes back healthy, how do you utilize both of them? I think that's going to be the tricky part. I've talked about Dave Gettleman struggling a lot by bringing in people who are on the offensive side of the ball here, bringing in, a wide receiver talent that is very similar. When we had the Golden Tate signing, I was kind of like, well, we already got a guy like that. And I was a fan of Golden Tate. Golden Tate is a baller. I think that Jason Garrett didn't really utilize my man Golden Tate the proper way, Like, Golden Tate is a yak guy. You got to get him the ball in space, and they failed to do that with him. But I was always concerned about, bringing in a guy like Golden Tate with Sterling Shepard. They're very similar kind of wide receivers. Granted that Golden Tate is more of a yak guy than Sterling Shepard is, but they run similar style routes. Both kind of operate out of the slot. And I thought the same thing about Kadarius Toney when we drafted him. I was like, well, how are they going to use him, And in this game, without Sterling Shepard, they definitely found a great way to use him. And, in my opinion, I think he can be a fantastic wide receiver moving forward for the Giants. And if they continue to put the ball in his hands, this offense should look, on the upside, I think. And the next thing I'm looking to see from him is how they utilize him in the red zone. Like how can when he doesn't have as much field to work with, how are we gonna be able to give him the ball and get him to score some touchdowns? I think that's very important. Jeff Maldo, I appreciate you, fam. You already know. Jeff Maldo, I totally appreciate you, man. He says some of the best and honest content out there, man. You killing it. I appreciate that, fam. I definitely appreciate that, man. And what does this one say here? King Chris TV says his style of play, just get him the ball and let him make it happen. Yeah, he's that kind of guy. A lot of football, you don't got to scheme it up too crazy. Just get the guy the ball, and yeah, he can make the plays. Kadarius Toney seems to be one of those kind of guys. A lot of people compared him to Percy Harvin, and that might be the best comparison. People was hating on that comparison. I saw a lot of Giants content creators like, oh, no, pump the brakes. He ain't no Percy Harvin yet. Like, he looks like Percy Harvin. He's moving quick, shifty. And then I'm wondering if the Giants will actually start to utilize him maybe in a special teams game, too, after they've seen what he can do with the ball in his hands. Returning punts is some scary business for real. I remember I played wide receiver my junior year, and I was never, ever thinking about returning no punts because, like, I need to know what's going on around me when I'm looking up at that ball like this. Nah, I'm not trying to have 10 defenders coming down the pipe trying to tackle me while, I'm trying to catch the ball. It's a recipe for disaster. And Giants fans know all about this. OG Giants fans know all about this when they tried to move Jason Sehorn to punt returner that one season, and that ended his career with the ACL injury, I believe, is what he had. So, yeah, I'm not too, anxious to get him in the mix as far as special teams go. But, if you think it can work and it looks good and he's a guy that can, he's got the skill set to do it, maybe, try him out back there. They tried Odell Beckham back there sometimes, and he was doing his thing. But a lot of people are down on C.J. Board as the returner, but I like what C.J. Board is doing. C.J. Board can be a player in this system, and he's been here for a little bit, a little while now, so I know he knows it. The beard says he kind of moves like the beard. Yeah, the beard is deceivingly shifty and quick. Like, he runs like a penguin, but he can move. And I talked about the content creator bowl that we need to get that together because I want to get a bunch of content creators do like a 7-on-7 type vibe. Kid Blue, that's one of the players I'm going to definitely draft. I saw a couple little highlights from him in his flag football league. That little dude can move, man. He's quick, very shifty himself, man. But I think that'll be a fun thing to do with the content creators. Maybe when we get to a game or something like that. I see the homie Floyd Samuel says Deebo Samuel maybe. Yeah, I think that's a good comparison too, man. Like Deebo Samuel, it seems like Kadarius Toney might have higher ceiling, man. Like he can maybe be more of a playmaker, in this Giants offense for sure, man. And, a lot of weapons over there with the Giants, man. You got a back like Saquon Barkley, touched by the hand of God. Like I'm sticking with that. That dude, there's no running backs that can do the type of things he does. Kenny Galladay out there on the outside, wide receiver wise. You got a guy like Sterling Shepard, Andrew Thomas, aiding the protection and whatnot. There's a lot of weapons here on this offense, and let's not forget Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones definitely balling, man. I'm happy to see what this offense is doing. They're like, that's the kind of game we thought that this offense would put up, when we were getting all these weapons in the offseason. And William, I see you in the chat right now. You saying perhaps we need to go old school, have more goal line specialists like Rudolph, hence the tandems. Yeah, that's a good point, man. The Patriots, I thought, were doing a pretty good job of that last night until that rain started to get real crazy. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry over there, who that lost me a fantasy game with Hunter Henry getting most of the snaps for about the last 3-4 possessions. But I like what they were doing there with the two tight end sets, finding a way to get the ball to the tight ends in the red zone, and having a big package where you could run the ball. But it takes that bruiser running back, and this is kind of funny. Like I talked about one of the biggest problems that the Giants offense had was the running back two situation. And I still stand on that. If you're not going to be able to get the ball to Saquon Barkley in open space, you need somebody that's like a Brandon Jacobs that can move straight forward. And could you imagine a two-back system with a guy like Saquon Barkley and another running back like Brandon Jacobs when we got down to the goal line? I mean, we'd virtually be unstoppable in the running game, and I think it would open up the pass even more. There were some people out there that thought that was a ridiculous take, even tried to use it against me, but it is what it is. That's just what I'm seeing with my eyes. People are saying Zeke Elliott's washed, and then he has a game where he puts up 90 and Tony Pollard puts up 106, and we're like, oh no, Zeke's back. different change of pace at running back keeps defenses off balance, man. I think it's the same thing that the Saints are doing with a guy like Taysom Hill. Yeah, granted, it's not at the running back position, but they're giving him the ball to run in a power type style, to pair with a guy like Alvin Kamara, and it's working for them. It's been working for, the whole tenure that Alvin Kamara has been with the New Orleans Saints. So for me, yeah, another running back would definitely help. And Chris TV, I see you, King Chris TV. I'm one that says we should have kept Wayne Gallman. I'll tell you what happened with that, though, is the stock of Wayne Gallman went up so high in the second half of the season that the Giants knew that he was going to try to seek free agency and probably try to get a bigger payday, right? They were saying he was probably going to go out there and get like 10 mil. But you look at it now, the Atlanta Falcons have him on the roster, and he's like a fourth-string running back. You got Mike Davis over there, Cordero Patterson doing things, so he's not going to see his way on the field. It might have been a really good idea to keep Wayne Gallman. I thought that he was like, right at the benchmark for the power back that we could have used with Saquon Barkley. And they saw it in that season. We go out there and we beat the Seattle Seahawks in 2020. We beat the Bengals. We beat Dallas Cowboys late in the year, and he had that fumble where he like sat on the ball at the end of the game and whatnot. But all of that was on the back of Wayne Gallman. He wasn't getting like 100 yards every game. He had 100-yard game throughout that whole stretch. But he was getting you that 60, that 70. And even Devonta Freeman was out there doing pretty well when he was healthy, until he had that ankle injury and whatnot. But yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Like Wayne Gallman could have been the second guy, and I would have no complaints at the second position at running back. I really want the Giants to give Gary Brightwell a bit more of a chance out there. I think that he's got the skill set to maybe be that second back. And Devin Booker, not Devin Booker. What is it? Devontae Booker. I might be getting that mixed up, but Booker, he had a decent couple of runs there, but he just doesn't seem like the back, that we need there to be productive. I think that Wayne Gallman was better suited for that role. And maybe when he hit the free agent market and things weren't working out, the Giants should have maybe just brought him back, but they were trying to spend money elsewhere and things like that. So I kind of understand why he's not still a Giant. But getting a running back like that would be critical for the Giants right now, and I think it will make this offense even more high-powered. I'm one who thinks that maybe the Giants should go out there and get Adrian Peterson. I was saying that in week 2 and week 3 too, because Saquon Barkley seemed to be that the knee wasn't 100%, healthy. I thought that he was kind of, just like falling a little bit on his runs to protect the leg and not cutting as hard as he could. But against the Saints, man, we definitely saw that. Saquon Barkley's knee looks healthy. And when you could see him playing off confidence, he always talked about like playing like a kid, like that was one of the things, getting out there and playing like a kid again. And you saw that in week 4 against the Saints, and Saquon Barkley's out there having fun. I mean, he's just making plays left and right. That screenplay, man. As soon as I don't see nobody in front of him around the line of scrimmage when he catches those screens, I'm just like, oh, we getting 15 here at least. And he's getting big chunks of yards in the passing game. Still struggling a little bit in the running game, but we saw some holes open up. And how great was it to see him get a touchdown run from like 7 yards out on 1st and goal? No hesitation. Jason Garrett went right back to what he did against Washington, if you think about it. When we were playing Washington, he went run 1st down, run 2nd down. He went past 3rd down. Daniel Jones is a little bit off target on that throw to Sterling Shepard. If he puts that on the front shoulder, on the front number, we're probably looking at a 1st down, maybe a touchdown there. He misses that throw, and we end up losing that game. But, I like to see Jason Garrett doing the exact same things that Joe Judge spoke on, in the press conference after this game about, like, sticking to the script. Like, we have a plan, and just because certain things are not working in that plan, we're not going to just completely erase that plan. And he said that in a reference to Jason Garrett. Like, when people were talking about Jason Garrett, is his job, is he on the hot seat and all this stuff? Joe Judge sticking with his guns. And I like that, man. Like, you can't just let a fan base dictate what you do on the field. That's why I also like the 4th and 1 call early on in this game on Sunday, where he didn't go for it. The fans don't dictate what we do as professionals, okay? He's a coach. He's the professional. He's the boss. Employees don't dictate what we do on the field. It can maybe influence it, but you can't just look at it like, oh, the first chance I get to be aggressive, I'm going to be aggressive. And I also posted another one of his quotes where he said something about like, what was he? I don't want to butcher the quote that he was saying there. But, he was saying something about, like, your conservative might not be my conservative. And I thought that was amazing. he said, we might be looking at 4th and 2 that we punt the ball, that might be an aggressive move for us because we're going to come back on defense and play it a certain way. So, like, yo, fans, you know, we got to judge the game a certain way. And at the end of the day, I think we got to put it in the hands of the coaches and the organization and trust them that they're going to, you know, do right by the fan base, you know. But, like, there's so many aspects to an offense, and let alone an offense, a whole team, and X's and O's of football that we just don't understand. You know, we just don't. Like, when I'm looking at, shout out to my homie Mark Schofield, Mark with a K. If you want to check him out, look up Mark Schofield with a K on YouTube. He does breakdowns weekly of quarterbacks, and he's a former quarterback who played in college. I want to say a Division II college quarterback. When I hear him talking, I'm just like, yo, bro, you way over my head, bro. Like, these concepts that he, you know, identifies that teams are running, I half the time I don't even know what he's talking about, and I'm learning. You know, I'm a student when I'm looking at Mark Schofield, and I'm sure a lot of you saw the Kurt Warner breakdown that he did of Daniel Jones, and a lot of y'all are looking at that with skewed eyes. People, I saw a lot of content creators watch that video and come back with comments saying, you see, Jason Garrett's scheme is outdated. There's like 2 plays where Kurt Warner's breaking down Jason Garrett's scheme. The other 8 were on the wide receivers, and 6 of them were probably on Daniel Jones. You know, so, like, don't run with these narratives because people are running with them. Like, if I see another fire Jason Garrett this week on Twitter, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, what are y'all talking about? He literally implemented a great game plan and utilized all his players in this game properly. You know, so, like, just cut it out, man. Just straight cut it out. It's BS. Y'all are just watching people say, fire Jason Garrett, and now y'all running with the same narrative. Like, yo, be your own man and stand on your own opinion, you know? That can be influenced by other opinions. Yeah, I get that. But, like, don't just hear your favorite content creator saying fire Jason Garrett and you got to run with that narrative. I saw people saying fire Jason Garrett after the first quarter, and then when the fourth quarter is coming around, they're praising him. I saw people saying Saquon Barkley is dancing, and then they're dancing in their living rooms afterwards, you know, when Saquon Barkley is scoring the game-winning touchdowns. Like, yo, cut it out, man, and just support this team. You know what I'm saying? I saw one in the chat that I wanted to respond to too. Oh yeah, it was another one from William Ruffin. Shout out to William Ruffin. I like that last name, Ruffin. If y'all don't know about David Ruffin, go check out some David Ruffin, one of the most raspy and prolific voices in music, period, man. He was a great lead, man. And if you haven't seen 5 Heartbeats, Eddie Kane was a character that was modeled after David Ruffin, for sure. He says, if you listen to the fan, you'll end up sitting in the stands. Not only is that a great quote, like the homie No Mets, No Jets, No Nets said, that's bars right there. Those are some bars right there, yo. If you listen to the fan, you'll end up in the stands. I like that, man. As an MC, that one is fire right there, man. Definitely digging that, man. Yeah, and that's facts, man. Like, yo, let these coaches do what they do, man. Coaches, I think the coaches have not been doing a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. I got my own opinion on that too. But I got to give them time to clean it up, man. This is a young team with a young coaching regime, you know, and I got to be patient and give them time to get it together. I know a lot of the younger people, you know, out there, they want quarterbacks to be developed in the first year and by the second year be ready to go. They're like, third year's make or break. If you're not good in the third year. Yo, I come from the old school, bro, where like Steve Young sat on the bench for like 5 seasons or whatever it was behind Joe Montana. I'm from the old school where the Giants stuck with Phil Simms through so many bad times. And even towards the end of his career, I felt like Phil Simms was never like a grade A quarterback in the league. You know, people were looking at Troy Aikman like he's miles above a guy like Phil Simms when he came in the league. And Eli Manning is another good example of it. Eli Manning comes in the league. My homie, who is the reason why I'm a Giants fan, was like, yo, Awthentik, man, like, I'm giving up on the kid. And then we won a Super Bowl, and my homie was still like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm sold. And then 2011 came around, and it was like, all right, bro, I'm sold, man. You was right on the Eli Manning thing. So shout out to my homie Patrick, man, and his whole family. They're the reason why I'm a Giants fan, man. You know, I was always at their crib when I was a kid, man. And when it came time to pick a team, I just randomly was like, let's go with the Giants, man. Let's do this, man. I like the colors. I was a big fan of Rodney Hampton. That was my first jersey I ever had. And, you know, a couple Christmases later, my mom bought me the traditional OG Giant starter jacket, you know, the blue joint, the zip up joint. And yeah, I used to kill that. That was one of my favorite jackets. And this Carl Banks joint that he's sending me here kind of looks like that starter without the hood a little bit. Can't wait till this weather kind of changes up a little bit and we get out of summer and I can get to rocking that, man. Temptations, Glock, you already know. You know what it is. David Ruffin in the building one time, man. So, man, I think that's going to do it for us here, man. We've gone almost 2 hours, man. Like, yo, I had a good time chopping it up with y'all. Unfortunately, couldn't highlight a lot of these chats on the screen, man. I really wanted to engage with y'all today. StreamYard was giving us a little bit of problems today, and YouTube, and I was wondering what was going on my Instagram when I logged in. I thought my phone was like out of space or something like that. But kind of find out something's wrong with all these social platforms today. But at least we were able to use OBS and get this out to YouTube. We still got 117 in the chat, man. If you're not subscribed up to Awthentik and the Beard, man, do that right now. If you dig in the content, no pressure on you or nothing like that. It's your life. Do what you do. I'm not one of them dudes that's like, hey, percentages, not subscribed that are watching. I don't care, man. As long as you here and you're showing love, even if you don't want to jump into the chat and whatnot, whatever, man. Do you, man. If you just want to come through, enjoy yourself, come kick it with the squad and Giants Nation and the rest of the NFC East Nation out here, man, yeah, pull up, man. We do shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. We do our recap from Sunday's games on Tuesday. We do our preview for the following week's games on Thursday at 7 p.m. And then Sunday, we do our show called The Parlay, where we just kind of chop it up, do fantasy vibes, very laid back. And my man Glock said Awthentik needs to hold a Bible when he's preaching like this, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up one time. Shout out to all the mods in the building. Is Glock a mod? Yes, Glock is a mod. That's a must right there. Shout out to all the moderators one time. I see Word in the building. I see Glock 30 in the building. Sunday's always in the building. You know what it is. We need to get Stephen Lilly one of them wrenches one time. A few others need them wrenches as well. Anybody that want to be a moderator, just reach out to me on Twitter. We'll get you situated straight, because that is what keeps this community moving, man. We couldn't do this without y'all. Wow, 115 likes in the building. The Giants Nation is definitely in the building one time, man. I'm going to see if I can't roll these credits. We're going to see how this works, man. I've never done this in this program before, man. But once again, I just want to thank y'all for pulling up, man. Tomorrow, I'm going to have the Beard with me. Y'all know how we do, man. We're going to recap Sunday's games. It's going to be a fun show, man. Y'all know when Washington wins and New York wins, it's always a fun show, man. So until then, y'all be good, man. I'll see y'all on Twitter. I'll be on Twitter all day chopping it up. I'm probably get a little bit of Xbox in if y'all want to hop on the Apex Legends with your boy. I'm Awthentik Music on that. And I'm just at Awthentik on Twitter if you want to pull up and chop it up. Once again, man, I appreciate y'all being here, man. Y'all be good. Enjoy yourself. You know what it is. Let's get some biceps in the chat before we dip. Left side, strong side is in the building, man. I go by the name of Awthentik, man. Appreciate y'all being here one time. Y'all be good, man. Peace out, y'all.